This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
It's just awesome, isn't it? Dirt Road World Championship action on a weekly basis. Welcome to the Daytona International Speedway, located in Daytona Beach, Florida. It hosts the second round of the 2019 Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship, with all coverage on your beloved RaceBot TV, streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network. Welcome along on whatever associated platform you're joining us, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, or elsewhere around this 1.1 kilometer circuit of Daytona. 0.7 miles depending on your units of choice. It's a clockwise layout as usual, one of the most popular circuits out there on the dirt road service for Rallycross. It includes 8 tight and twisty corners. The lap begins with a very short gravel portion of the circuit, which includes the jump. It's very similar to Iowa in that the rest of the lap is then completely tarmac, but overtaking can be difficult. And that means track position is vital as ever. Lap times in qualifying will be registered around that 31 to 32 second range. And that is going to be ever critical come qualifying in a few moments' time that the drivers are about to commence in. The Joker Delta about 2 seconds here at Daytona. The start line, as you can see on screen, is located towards the middle of the lap. And the first corner, again, is ironically the last corner. Good afternoon, everybody. Jonathan Simon in the commentary booth on hand alongside Randolph Cheneth, Paul Smith behind the scenes in production. Randy, welcome back to Daytona for the second round of our campaign. I can't wait for some of the tracks coming up in a few weeks' time, but all focus now is on this circuit itself. It's very difficult for overtaking is Daytona short. There's 2 layouts available, but today that means when qualifying commences in 2 minutes' time, like I said, these drivers are going to have to nail their laps, and they're not going to have much time to do so.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you really have to be picture perfect around this place. Not only, like you said, in the races, trying to set up a move, set up an opportunity to make a move is going to be nearly impossible. It's really, really hard to make up places around here in race trim. And like you said, qualifying, you need to be picture perfect, going to be ultra important. And not only that, we saw several drivers at Atlanta have some big issues, Johnny, with the starts, and saw several times people struggling. You do not want to have a bad start at this place, because if you do, it just sort of compounds and your day just goes from bad to worse.
And of course, Sammy Matty Trogan currently leads the championship after taking a valiant victory over at Atlanta. Now for him, who's going to stop his confidence heading into round 2 here at Daytona? We know it was a bit of a level playing field for round 1. Round 1 doesn't always set the pecking order for the season in sim racing, we know, Randy, but I still feel like the said esports driver has a good chance here to extend his championship lead.
He definitely does, but, everyone else, probably going to be getting back into the Rallycross rhythm as well. You got to think about how strong is the number 24 Mitchell DeYoung going to be. He's currently quickest in the practice session, and as I say that, Johan Hartz goes about half a tenth quicker than him, but Johan seems like he has speed. Joni Heikkinen, we know, can be fast. John Robertson, we know, is going to put in some good effort as well. There's a lot of fast names in this series, and I think with the way Atlanta went last week, there was sort of not as much challenge as I think we could have seen. Hopefully we get a bit of a cleaner race today, and I think there's a flurry of names that can challenge the 17-year-old Sammy Matty Trogan.
And for Josh Fox, the Williams esports driver had the lucrative opportunity during the week to test an RX2 car for American Rallycross and the American Rallycross Championship. He headed to Mid-Ohio, and he shared a bit of that experience with me, Randy, and I gotta say, he loved it. He was enthralled, and the only problem for him is funding a real-world drive right now, because in the real world, compared to sim racing, funding is key.
Yeah, that's really the big drawback, isn't it? And hopefully he gets the opportunity to get into one of those cars again and maybe go racing. And even if he can't do a full season, maybe, do an event here, do an event there. But a great opportunity regardless for the Williams Esports driver of Josh Fox to get behind the wheel of one of the real-world rallycross cars and maybe see how things can work out for him in the future.
So qualifying has just begun, I should say, and we're going to have 5 minutes of action. The drivers are allowed a maximum of 3 laps. Now, Randy, this is the most critical part of the day, I think, because track position is ever so critical at this circuit. It's like the Monaco Grand Prix. Well, I've said that for a few tracks in Rallycross, but this is one of them. It's like a street circuit as we watch Johan Hart on screen for the Apex Racing Team Subaru Winter Experience. Those two teams in a partnership with Patrick Sandell. And Hart has spoken about this landing from the jump being ever critical. The Subaru just loves to oscillate around here.
Yeah, it definitely does. And we'll watch Johan as he comes through the hairpin and going to come to the end of his first lap. You don't get a full out lap here. You just sort of tick the timer, and first time for him is going to go to a 32.7. Right now he's up near the top of the timing boards, but not actually on top of it. It's actually Logan Clampett who holds that top step. Josh Fox goes to a 32.8. Have a handful of drivers putting in laps, and now Mitchell DeYoung, he puts in quickest time at a 32.5. But you're right, 3 laps is the max. We're likely going to see most drivers run 2. You'll most likely just do 1 fast lap, park it after that first one, completely ditch the second one, and then reset on the third and get a third attempt as well. So Bobby Zielinski, he's going to be next in line to put in his first qualifying lap of the session.
Let's have a look at Bobby Zielinski making the move to VRS Coanda SimSport this year and crosses the line. Where's that going to place Zielinski for the moment? Only down the order for sure. So in the 10th at best. Now, the thing is, the drivers are unable to change the cars as we watch his teammate Mitchell DeYoung on screen. And the Subaru will be good in feature conditions again, I think, Randy. But some of the drivers have been speaking about the Volkswagen and even the Fiesta, saying, have a look out for the drivers running that car. They feel like at such a short and narrow track, especially through that narrow middle sector that DeYoung just made his way past, they could certainly be ones to challenge for the lead.
It'll be nice to see. We had an all Subaru feature event last week, and I'd love to see some Volkswagens or even that Soul Fiesta maybe get up towards that top step as Mitchell DeYoung does improve on his previous qualifying effort. So right now, the mark for everyone to beat is 32.314. So 32 pi as Garrett Lowe is out there on the racetrack for his second of his qualifying attempts, running his third lap right now, and currently sits down in 19th in that Fiesta, the only one we have running in the field. Half a lap to go. Let's hope he can bring that time down and maybe get further up the pecking order.
And the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series just concluding. What a thrilling conclusion it was to that season. Randolph Chennis was part of the production team and broadcasting team for that. And as Lowe crosses the line in 6th, that's a good time from Garrett Lowe. And look at the car he's running, the Ford Fiesta.
Yeah, definitely good to see him put in that good effort there and put in the good lap. Georgi Zadzon is another one you watch here. He's on his final lap, hasn't actually managed to put a lap in. Daniel Fenalosa, he comes across the line. Georgi Zadzon, he's going to come through at a 33.1, so I thought the Volkswagen might be doing a little bit better. He won't be able to. Michael Guest, the only one we have left who's not run any laps, but 90 seconds, the 54 better get out there if that's what he's hoping to do. As Stilian Chepelevsky is currently out there on the racetrack. He's trying to improve from 12th.
I think Guest has actually been out for 3 laps. I think they've all been invalidated. So something's happened to Michael Guest.
Oh, you're right.
His day is actually done. Yeah, so now let's have a look at Chepelevsky. Nevertheless, the Bulgarian currently going through the final corner. Chepelevsky, he's on his, we've just had confirmation. He's out of his allotted laps, of course. He's just getting another extra one in to keep his rhythm and practice. He'll start down the order. Now, we'll look at the grid in about a minute's time, but it looks like we have enough numbers today, Randy, for 3 heats. So the format today will be 3 heats, of course, as usual, possibly, and 2 will advance to the feature from each, and that will mean we'll have 2 consolation races as per usual.
Yep, looks like we have a full field of cars here. All 25 have turned up, and remember, it's a 10-car feature show by the time we get to the end of it. But 30 seconds left in the qualifying before we get to Heat 1 that we get to run down. And Mitchell DeYoung really stepping up here, Johnny. What a brilliant performance by the PRS Coanda driver. 3/10 clear of anybody. Josh Fox closest at a 32.6, Robertson at a 32.7. Phil Diaz qualified really well also, 32.73. That's a great qualifying time to come out of Phil.
So, and that confirms anyway, with your top three here, meaning DeYoung, Fox, and Robertson will each start their heats from prime pole position. That will mean DeYoung here in Heat 1, as we look at the grid, will start alongside Phil Diaz in that Simulcube Inex racing car. Behind him will be Johan Harth in the Apex Racing Team car, followed by Matt Adams in the 4th position. The rest of the grid will be on screen. How about Tommy Holman with a podium for round 1? He'll start from 5th ahead of Garrett Maines in the 6th position. The rest of the grid will include Marcos Matamoros, Yorgi Zadzon, and Michael Guest, who was unable to set a time in our recent qualifying session. So Randy, your tips to turn 1, keep it safe?
Yeah, definitely. Get a good jump, keep it safe. Don't just try to slot it 3 wide in towards turn 1, and especially going into that fast chicane in towards turn 2, Johnny. Try to get single filed out quickly. You see the end of it right there. Try to get narrowed up with the entire rest of your competitors to get through that quick chicane.
I missed Rallycross. It's only been 7 days, and I've waited in anticipation to head back to Daytona. Lights illuminate for round 2. And we go green from Daytona. And what a mad scrambling start from your top 3. But who's going to end out on top? How about a younger Johan Harth trying to barge his way past the Inex racing car of Diaz? But it's DeYoung into the lead as they head into the dirt section.
Tommy Hallman in the mid-pack caught a little bit of a bump, and he drops a couple of spots, but it's going to be DeJong, Diaz, Hart as they run in towards this tight section for the first time. Now they come up to the shortcut. This is going to be the single file sector of the racetrack. Should not see side-by-side through there at all, but that's going to really narrow things up. But look at the lead DeJong already has, Johnny.
Awesome by Mitchell DeYoung, and he elects to take the Joker here on the opening lap. Some drivers are either going to save that for the opening lap or possibly the end of the race, which will make this absolutely spectacular in 5 laps time for this Heat 1 event. And it looks like Johan Harth, that's a brilliant decision for him. He needs a top 2 spot, Johan Harth. I think he's very bullish about his pace this season. And the Apex Racing teams, we see one car off in the background. That is, barged up. That's Matt Adams. Oh, Garrett Maines.
Yeah, that's Garrett Maines. He had a big problem following the jump. He was bicycling up on 2 wheels through that right-hander. He actually got in Phil Diaz, the driver who was running in second, who did not joker. He jokers this time and heads onto the racetrack. And look at that decision, Johnny. That decision to not joker hurt Phil Diaz big. He falls out of a transfer spot into 3rd.
Exactly. So not good for Phil Diaz, who qualified oh so well. And remember, these are very short heats. So he's already behind Johan Harth by a second, and I think that could be his day done. I don't see Johan Harth making a mistake from here. You never know, though. We'll have to wait to see in a few moments' time, but it just bottlenecked, didn't it, Randy, after, as we see up ahead of Tommy Hallman. That's Marcos Matamoros going for the Joker, but it just, everyone made their way around the Volkswagen of Garrett Maines, and it could have caused some chaos.
Yeah, it really did, and that's why you have to be smart about jokering here. If you're in one of those leading spots, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, you need to joker on that opening lap, Johnny. A 3-second delta is what you have, and that's just enough for cars in the mid-pack. If they decide to joker, they're just going to come out right in front of you. That's exactly what happened to Phil Diaz. He had Garrett Maines come out. Garrett made a mistake, checked Phil up by about a second, if not more, and that, I think, makes up the bulk of the difference between Johan and Phil right now.
And we watch the set esports driver of Tommy Hallman. Well, we were on screen. We switched to Mitchell DeYoung, our leader, because he's begun the final lap here. And our top 2 will transfer straight to the feature. That includes DeYoung and Harth. Mitchell DeYoung's driven ever so well. And Randy, yet again, though, this is a familiar sight. We know that Mitchell DeYoung is going to get better as the season progresses. We'll talk about whether or not he can run a full-time schedule later, because that's a conversation to be had. But the heat is over, and DeYoung and Harth transfer.
That's definitely the way it's looking right now. Side by side in the background, though, I think that's going to be for fourth. And looks like it's going to be Matt Adams who takes that honors away. Tommy Hallman put from a podium last week. He won't even get out of the first heat race. He's going to have to start from about the mid-pack of an LCQ. Johnny, heat race number 2 is gridding up now.
Yep, so those are the results from Heat 1. The top 2 transfer. The rest are still in it, but they have to head to the Consolation races. Heat 2 grid is on screen at the bottom. Fox and Clampett head the front row. The 2 Americans joined by Sammy Matty Trogan, who didn't have the best of qualifying performances, our championship leader. Look out for Adria Perez as well down the order, Randy. I think he'll have a good event, so we'll talk about that in a few moments' time. But I think for him and the Beetle, and how about Clampett and the Beetle, they should do quite well.
Yeah, definitely looks that way. These guys are gridded up. Revs are coming up. We're about to go green.
Lot of wheel spin from the Subaru there of Sammy Matty Trogan. We go green for another 5 laps of action. Good start from Fox. Not a good start from the Volkswagen of Clampett. Oh, that's Adria Perez taking out Clampett and Sammy Matty Trogan. Not a good start for our championship leader.
Yeah, that's absolutely horrible for those guys. It's going to be Otto Taskinen who slots up into the second spot. Adria Perez third, but not for long. It's Daniel Fenolosa is going to get around that Volkswagen after Adrian nearly made a mistake and actually not able to get the pass done. I thought surely that'd be the third spot lost, but your top 2 out well and truly clear here, coming towards the Joker for the first time, and there's no going to be mistake from second place this time. They'll Joker on lap 1. Perez, and it seems like almost everyone else, going to save it for later.
And of course, as usual, if you're joining us for the first time this season, you can identify the Joker at the top of the screen. Once we get that ticker running, you're able to see who's taken it with the green tick. Whoever hasn't taken it will have the red cross under their name, as you can see live at the moment. It's all about Sammy Matty Trogan, though. This is really critical, Randy, for the championship. If he cannot transfer through to the features, he's got a second opportunity in the consolation races, but he'll have poor grid position.
And we've seen in these races that it's difficult to run your way up the running order, as Sammy's going to take to the shortcut here on lap number 2 to begin lap number 3. He'll come up just ahead of Perez, so he's going to be a little bit further down the running order than he would like. He's well and truly clear off second spot, nearly 2 seconds, I'd guesstimate, at the gap, just eyeballing it. But we have a nice close fight for third here between Trogan, Perez, and Fenolosa in your mid-pack. Car off and way wide through the dirt section. That's Cedric Esmeyer. He's able to get it bound back up and running forward, but 3-car scrap here, maybe towards the tail end of this heat race here, Johnny, but you're right. Sammy Matty Trogan, it's hard to transfer out of these races, and we've not seen a lot of passing if it hasn't involved contact us yet.
Well, there's been some issues for Logan Clampett, by the way. He's out of the race, so we'll try and get some more information on that, but he's certainly not pleased with it, let me tell you that much. And they head into the middle sector. Your leaders, this is Adria Perez on screen for MSI Esports. Just great to see, by the way, Randy, a positive sim racing car out there transferring to the feature. And Otto Taskinen is one of the quickest rallycross drivers, I think, well, definitely in the world. He's in the World Championship for sure, but I think he's quite underrated coming into this campaign.
Yeah, he definitely is. It's definitely a bit of the Red Seas parting for Otto Taskinen, though, in this one. Started in the 7th spot. You saw that pile up on the opening lap, and he's able to kind of clean, just breeze on through on the inside, and he basically got given that 2nd spot by default. But Josh Fox, we've seen it back-to-back races now. Pole sitter gets a good jump, gets out in front, and pretty much walks away from the field.
Well, the entire Williams Esports team and the entire Williams Formula One team, I'd say, are probably asleep, ready for the Japanese Grand Prix in a few hours' time. But it's all about Josh Fox on screen for the esports universe, and he gets it done for them in Rallycross right now. He transfers to the feature race along with Positive Sim Racing's Otto Taskinen. Behind him, Perez will finish ahead of Trogan, critical for the championship. But very critical for Perez that he gets that grid position for the consolation races.
Yeah, 100%. So it's going to be good for those guys that are finishing near the pointy end of these heats, that they'll have the ability in the LCQ to start well. As the grid for Heat 3, it's going to come at you on screen right now, and going to be a fun one.
Rookie John Robertson will start from pole ahead of Garrett Lowe, feature race winner from last season. Joni Heikkinen needs a good campaign in 2019. And this will be a nice place to kick it off for him. Chepelevsky will start from 4th. The rest of the grid includes Zelensky, Parisi, Matthew Madigan, Bobby Sant Jr. The final heat for the day. We go green yet again from Daytona. Oh, and there's already contact off the start line between Zelensky and it looked like Connor Parisi in the Jim Beaver esports car. Those two seem to have kept themselves honest here as they head into the dirt section. Oh, the track bottlenecking. You always get so nervous in here, but I think everybody's managed to make their way through.
Oh, but they've not survived the jump. Bobby Zelensky's off in the grass. He'll get a slowdown penalty for that. And then the secondary contact as well, with I believe that was Matthew Madigan in the Volkswagen. He was well off the racetrack. But most of your race leaders, they're through clean on first lap. And as they run through this opening, it's John Robertson and ART Subaru Winter Experience leading. Now it's Joker time. Stillian was up there in the second spot, but we have a handful of drivers jokering. In the second spot, it was Joni Heikkinen who jokered, but John Robertson, he's going to lead the way.
Exactly, and brilliant stuff by Chepelevsky this time around, but he won't receive a transfer spot because he's going to be in the top two. That's what's critical for him. The said esports driver of Heikkinen is on screen. Heikkinen, I think, you know what? I think you'll be content with this. If he can get second, if Garrett Lowe can't jump him in the Joker, I think you'll be all right. But what the driver's been speaking about, Randy, is taking that Joker on the final lap, because when you take it, you actually lose time heading into this dirt section that we ride on board right now with Chepelevsky and watch from. So if you take it on the final lap, you won't lose that half a second heading into the dirt section.
I think that half a second is irrelevant. I know it's the sort of thing, Johnny, that with sim racers that you kind of see, oh, I lost a little bit of time. That's important. I think what's more important is traffic management. We've seen the big chunk of times already that you can lose if you don't manage the traffic correctly. Just think what happened in the opening heat race with Phil Diaz. He went from being in a transfer spot to being nearly 3 seconds clear. We need to watch this, though, because it's not all said and done. Stillian has yet to take that Joker. 2.1 seconds off P2 at the moment. He is right there within the cutoff here, Johnny, to potentially shortcut Heikkinen on this Joker lap.
And you can identify that at the top of the screen. A red X under Chepelevsky and Garrett Lowe's name. They'll save it for the final lap. Garrett Lowe doesn't. Garrett Lowe's sent to the Joker. Now this could impede the Bulgarian of Chepelevsky. I think he'll be okay. I don't think he'll... Yeah, he'll be all right there, Randy. He's got plenty of time, plenty of room.
Garrett Lowe made a mistake on the exit of the jump, and Stillian's going to just slip on through here on this final lap. Did that hold up to 15 at all, though?
I think Chepelevsky was fine. Managed to make his way through. Final lap of the race. Let's see if Chepelevsky can jump Robertson or Heikkinen. It's going to be awfully close, but it looks like Robertson will win the heat. Heikkinen, oh, that's not even close at the end of the day. Heikkinen comes home in second. And just ahead there of Chepelevsky, but we watch the ART driver of Robertson on screen come home unscathed. Those are our heats done for the day. And of course, John Robertson, our winner, as we head to the first consolation race, which includes, let's have a look at the grid. There it is, Phil Diaz in the first position. Chepelevsky will start from second, who just took part in the heat, so he'll be warmed up for that. Then it includes the two set esports drivers of Sami Matty Trogan, Tommy Hallman. How about Garrett Lowe's chances from the bottom end of the order? Let's have a look at Nathan Lyon, see what he can do from sixth position. The rest of the grid, it's a 9-car field and includes Garrett Maines, Zelensky, and Madigan, as you saw on screen. 5 laps of action, of course, as usual. Now, these two will make up, well, the two that transfer will make up our bottom end of the order into today's feature race at Daytona. Thanks again for joining us, whether you're watching on Twitch, YouTube, anywhere else, Facebook. Hope you're enjoying the action on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. It's been a thrilling event as usual. Rallycross always is. And the lights illuminate for the first consolation race. And we go green yet again from Daytona. And a critical start for Sami Matty Trogan. One of the best starts I've seen at Daytona in quite some time.
Nathan Lyon got tagged up in that, though, and there's a secondary incident. One of the set cars, they don't even get to take the S's. Who is that? Tommy Hallman. He's off in the grass on the right-hand side. That's going to be the end of his day.
And for Zelensky, issues for him in the VRS Coanda SimSport car. He had such a promising first round, and it looks like his day is almost essentially done. It's going to be a tough asking for him from here after the pole start, but taking to the Joker Sammy, Matty Trogan, and Phil Diaz here on the opening lap. You can see them there on screen. Have some clear track up ahead there of the ART driver of Chepelevsky. The problem is now, between Trogan, Diaz, and Chepelevsky, one of these drivers is going home early.
Yeah, that's definitely the situation. And if you're the 15 of Stilly and Chepelevsky, think about what just happened. Remember, that black and orange Fiesta behind Stillian at the moment, he's the one that made the mistake on the jump that cost Stillian a transfer spot. Stillian didn't make up any time on the top two when he jokered, so he got held up by that Ford Fiesta a bunch, even though it looked like he was able to just sort of slip on through. He was likely off throttle for a while when he would have liked to have been on it. But now for that 15 car, Chepelevsky, I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe times this joker a lap early just to be sure that that doesn't happen again.
Let's see what happens here for the Bulgarian. Loves sim racing, does Stelian Chepelevsky. Loves rallycross. He's got some real-world rally experience, of course, as well in Europe. And identified by the red X, he hasn't taken to the Joker. I really like his line, Randy, through the final corner. He seems to hug the inside in the braking zone. Some other drivers opt for a late apex. He goes for the early apex.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend how you really set these cars up, and you know, of course, the fact that these cars, you're trying to set them up to work both on the gravel and the asphalt. Sometimes a bit of a give and take both ways, but you know, maybe he's got his car running a little bit more stiffer and can really take that corner a bit better. But you're right, it is a nice flowing line through that final corner into the hairpin now. See a car jokering in the background. That looks like Matt Madigan. Is he going to be able to maybe jump Cheppy? No, Cheppy's going to be clear here, so it's going to be a final lap joker for the 15 for sure as we come up towards this, and he is reeled Phil Diaz well and truly in.
Yeah, that was actually Garrett Maines behind, excuse me. So Garrett Maines ahead here of Garrett Lowe. Garrett Maines shoved out of the way in the background. You can see him there. I think he's avoided the barriers, but all eyes are on who's going to transfer to the feature race here for our first consolation race. Drag race to the finish. Trogan is through. Will it be Chepelevsky or Diaz? Drag race to the line. I don't even know who it was.
Stillian by 2/100ths of a second.
Wow, that's unofficial. But, I mean, it needs to be official in 5 seconds' time because we're heading to the feature soon. It is Chepelevsky there, officially confirmed, with a drag race to the line. Ends up into our feature race. We say goodbye to Phil Diaz, Randy, after such a promising qualifying performance.
And that's what it can be. You just make one mistake with the Joker in a heat race, get buried in the traffic, and suddenly you're not going to the feature as the grid goes around on the bottom of the screen. These guys are already ready to go.
Yeah, they're all ready to go. They're hungry, as you said. And we go green for 5 laps of action. So you saw the grid at the bottom of the screen. It was Perez, Adams, and Sant Jr. into turn 1. Oh, argy-bargy are these guys into the first corner. I see Fenalosa in the positive sim racing car. Oh, no, that's going to cause some chaos.
Yeah, that was not smart. They tried to go into the S's 3 wide, and that's almost the entirety of the field through there that gets taken out. It's Adria Perez and Daniel Fenalosa. They're going to be set up 1-2, but 3 wide into that quick chicane, Johnny, is never, ever going to work. That was just bad race management, but I think a number of people there. We'll see who it was who made the move 3 wide and tried to send it. It was that black and gold Subaru, and it's one of those situations, Johnny, I think you just need to lift out of it to a certain extent. Otherwise, that's always going to happen.
Well, Adria Perez is in prime position to head to the feature race. I saw him on 2 wheels heading into this section right now as we watch Fenalosa head through. This is quite an interesting field at the moment because when I look at the timing screens, Randy, I'm still unsure who's going to make it through. We know Perez is probably got one hand on the trophy, but Fenalosa hasn't even taken the Joker.
Yeah, hasn't jokered yet, but everyone else got so held up that no one's even close. I mean, Matt Adams is currently running third, 3 seconds back. Matt does still owe us the Joker, but no one's even within Joker range of Daniel Fenalosa right now. So all Daniel has to do is sort of log a handful of laps and not make any mistakes, and they're quickly and easily through to the feature.
Bobby Sant Jr. is still racing. He's in the last position. Now, both he and teammate Connor Parisi are out there for Jim Beaver Esports, and for them, they were, well, we've had confirmation that Dirtfish for them, Randy, will serve as the primary partner for the Jim Beaver Esports team and their two-car lineup of Sant Jr. and Parisi. So a lot of real-world partnerships here with the virtual world.
Yeah, and it's always great to hear that stuff happening and getting some big partnerships for all these teams and all these drivers as they come in to this series. We get ready to see the white flag. Adria Perez coming in towards the final corner now. Fenalosa still owing us a joker time. Oh, nope, he's going to joker this time. Will he pick off your race leader of Adria Perez? No, is going to be the answer to that question. But white flag for your top two, and they just got to get to the end of the lap.
Yeah, a lot of Spaniards in this field. Perez from Spain, Fenalosa from Spain, Matamoros down the order also from Spain. So great to see the Spanish nation represented. They only have 3 drivers in the field, and these are all 3 in this final consolation race for the day before we head to our 10-lap feature. It was an eventful start, bit of an uneventful finish here. Perez will head straight through to make up our final order for the feature race. Well done to Daniel Matrani as well, who will head straight through to the feature race. We say goodbye to Matt Adams, Yorgi Zadzon, and unfortunately the Jim Beaver Esports drivers of Parisi and Sant Jr. Sant Jr. with Joker on the final lap. Ended up a few positions ahead. And also saying goodbye to Michael Guest, Cedric Gesmeyer, and the other Spaniard of Marcos Matamoros, who you saw on screen have an incident with just a couple of laps remaining. So now we head to warm up for 2 minutes, Randy. Let's get some breath of fresh air, finally. And we're ready to go here for another 10 laps of action. The most points are on offer in the feature race, which is ever so critical for the championship, because going into qualifying, 6 points for pole, 8 points in the heat races for finishing heat 1. But for finishing P1 in the feature race, it's 70 championship points.
Yeah, so big points on offer here. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. People are going to be really, really aggressive with one another for sure, running for a championship offer. You know what excites me, though, Johnny? We saw all Subarus last week out at at Atlanta. I keep wanting to say Road Atlanta with all the Petit Le Mans stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Petit Le Mans happening right now and the iRacing version happening last weekend. But at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, this week we have 9 Subarus, but Adria Perez is able to break the trend. He gets that Volkswagen up into the main event, and that's going to be fun to watch. See how the different marquee maybe works, because if I recall correctly, drivers saying the Subarus tend to be good through the heat races, but oftentimes the Fiesta and Volkswagen can be mighty quick in the feature.
And lovely is Rallycross. The series prize pool increasing this year to $25,000 in cash and prizes, of course. And that's a total of that's paid out to our prize-paying positions. Now, no drop weeks this season, and we've heard some news, Randy, potentially that Mitchell de Jong could miss rounds 3 and 4 due to other racing commitments. Not what you want to hear from our 2018 champion. He'll struggle to defend that in 2019. It will still be possible, but very, very rare, very, very hard to do so.
It'll depend entirely on the consistency of his competitors, if he's able to keep up there. So keep an eye on the likes of Sammy Matty Trogan and others up near the top of the points after round 1. Mitchell de Jong, if he pulls off a win here, he's going to be looking good. The starting grid will be going by on screen any moment now.
And it includes the VRS Coanda Sim Sport driver of Mitchell de Jong, who will start from the first position. He'll be joined on the front row alongside Josh Fox and John Robertson. Behind them will include Johan Hart, Otto Taskinen, and Joni Heikkinen, the 2 Finns joining the Frenchman on that third row. Then the rest of the order will include championship leader Sami Matti Trogan, rallycross driver in the real world. How about Spaniard Adria Perez? And Spaniard Daniel Matrani. They sandwich the Bulgarian of Stelian Chepelevsky in the other ART Subaru Winter Experience car. So the feature race, it's 10 laps of action as usual. The drivers have to take one joker, and the lights will illuminate for the last time. We go green for the final time for round 2. What a screaming getaway from Robertson. Oh, I think Fox had a huge tap from behind. That's thrown Robertson off the racetrack and into the last position. Oh, just such a poor start for the rookie. He looked good to take the lead, and now he's gone from 1st to 10th.
And that's the big issue with this series. Even if you get a big early jump, one little mistake from behind that doesn't involve you could catch you up. Now the big question, who's going to joker on the opening lap? Everyone's lined up and they scream down towards the hairpin. Mitchell looks like he's going to take the shortcut. Josh Fox looks like on the outside. Is that Trogan? I think he's going to be the first to not take the shortcut.
Yeah, actually, no, it's Johan Hart that joins him for the joker. Josh Fox is actually down the order. So Johan Hart, a brilliant start from him, from 4th on the grid on the 2nd row, is joining De Jong here in a battle for the win. Now, there's going to be more time, of course, in this feature race. 10 laps of action as usual. And those two are in a battle for the lead. That's going to be ever important. Now, who's in 3rd? It's Sami Matti Trogan. Oh, you just can't stop this guy now. He could extend his championship lead if things go his way.
We're going to have to wait and see. Keep in mind that Mitchell finished 2nd, and with a win today, even if Sammy finishes 3rd, that would be Mitchell with the points lead, I believe, as they work through in this sector and up towards the tighter part of the racetrack. Now the question is, though, Johnny, is how close can Sammy keep to your top 2, and how long till cars behind Sammy start jokering? Remember, we saw how it affected Mitchell de Jong last week, not jokering in a great time and not managing the traffic well. Trogan needs to keep an eye on those cars behind him, see if any cars suddenly pop out in front of him, and if he maybe needs to joker earlier than he might want, but he's within striking distance of Johan Hart right now.
I think Trogan's going to trust his Finnish compatriot of Otto Taskinen for now and hope that he doesn't take to the joker. I think Chepelevsky in 5th is just a bit too far behind. If he takes the joker, I don't think he'll end out in front of Trogan as we ride on board with him here through the final sector. And let's have a look this time, Randy. I think he's playing it right. Oh, it's Otto. Yeah, you're right. Otto behind's going for the joker. Oh, no, he's ended out ahead here of Trogan. The worst thing to happen for our championship leader.
Now can Sami Matti Trogan, he has to joker right here, right now. He should have known what happened to Mitchell last week. He hasn't, I think, gotten held up too bad by Otto just yet, but we do know that they could always be in effect here, as still your leaders still within a second of one another. But here comes the shortcut for Sami Matti Trogan. Shortcut this time. Will he be compared to Johan Hart? I think Johan should be fine.
Still important points, though, for the Finn. The young man who's raced along with Heikkinen in the real world. He's just driven oh so well, has Sami Matti Trogan this season. But he'll end up no greater than 3rd for the moment, unless something goes wrong for the American or the Frenchman behind. And you have to say, Randy, now, what's happened to Chepelevsky? Has he been passed by Josh Fox? I've just seen the timing screens update, and yeah, it's true. Josh Fox ahead of Chepelevsky.
We have this big scrap on screen. You've seen John Robertson involved with this fight. A couple of other drivers as well. I believe Adria Perez has been in the middle of it. I think may have just taken up. I'll take that back. That Volkswagen's at the end. But we're looking at the Williams Esports car of Josh Fox. But 4 cars here, all lined up nose to tail. They stay passing as hard here, Johnny. And these guys, they got to do it the hard way. When they're all stacked up on each other like this, they're all fighting for a top 5.
And the event almost over. That was Fox and Chepelevsky both scraping the wall. Now Fox goes for the joker. So he's having a brilliant event after that just absolute poor first start. And he'll still end up in 5th at best. Now the problem is, like, I thought qualifying was going to be important today, Randy. It was actually avoiding collisions at the start, it seems.
Well, I mean, that's really the big thing in this series, isn't it? It's, I think, what's defined the first 2 races that we've had is just the way the incidents at the opening corner have really affected the races and strung things out. And joker management still being a big thing for drivers as well, as now with Josh Fox jokering, that makes it a 3-car scrap between Cheppy, Robertson, and Perez.
Only a couple laps to go here. We ride on board with the Spaniard. Heading over the jump. Now, there was talk with the drivers saying just managing the oscillation at the exit of the jump is ever so critical. And that's a corner there, that right-hander, Randy, where a lot of drivers tend to use the handbrake, but your pro rallycross drivers here, they say you don't need to use it through there.
Yeah, they're definitely right. You can definitely just sort of manage it with the brake and throttle pedal, how you manage that oversteer. You don't need to get too aggressive with it, but I'll definitely say I am in the park that I just like reaching up and yoinking a handbrake. But we shift our focus now to the number 24 VRS Coentus Subaru of Mitchell DeYoung, who he looks keen to going into the final corner and winning round 2 here.
The more time you give to this young American, the more dominant he gets. He's taken 5 career wins last year. This will be number 6. He crosses the line and wins round 2 of the Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship from Daytona. A brilliant event from the VRS Coanda SimSport driver who was left untouched. It's like deja vu from 2018 for Mitchell DeYoung. But what a brilliant event from Johan Hart, the Frenchman. He achieves the best result of the season so far for the Apex Racing Team Subaru Winter Experience car, and Patrick Sandell will be quite pleased with that result. How about our championship leader, Sammy Matty Trogan? Will he maintain that championship lead with all points calculated? We know that points are also awarded for qualifying in the heat, so that will come into effect, but we think Mitchell DeYoung, once points are calculated, will have the lead. Brilliant event from the positive sim racing car of Otto Taskinen, who finishes ahead there of Josh Fox, who was involved in earlier incidents with John Robertson. Robertson on a recovery drive ended up in 7th. They sandwiched Chepelevsky yet again, who came home in 6th in the other ART car. And then some other cars down the order. The Spaniard of Perez ended up ahead of Joni Heikkinen, who just didn't have the best of days here at Daytona in feature race conditions. And finally, rounding out the field and claiming 43 points for P10 was Daniel Matrani in the other positive sim racing vehicle. Wow, we're done, Randy. It went so quick, didn't it? I almost want to get ready for round 3.
Yeah, these Rallycross races, they really do tick off quickly. It's a very, very quick format. We see that in the Dirt Oval Championships as well as the sprint cars. A main event there can take about 3 minutes if they go all the entire distance under green. But yeah, it was a very short race and really, really fun race as well for all these guys as we get ready for some post-race interviews. And I think there's going to be some probably some frustrated drivers in the post-race. But everyone in the top 3 moved up. Well, Mitchell didn't move up. It was impossible to move up from first. But Johan up 2, up to 2nd, I think is going to be happy. And Sammy Matty Trogan, what a start from him. He gets out, gets clear of all the pandemonium, and he runs from 7th on the grid up to 3rd. Trogan is going to be more than pleased with that.
And you can see on screen how worn out the track is right now, especially through that dirt section. That really makes feature race conditions quite tricky. But for now, though, we'll bring you your post-race interviews after this commercial break. Don't leave us. Hope you enjoyed all the action from the 2019 Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship for round 2 at Daytona. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to round 2 of the 2019 Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship. The race, or the feature race, has been concluded here from Daytona, and we're stood alongside your winner today, the VRS Coanda SimSport driver of Mitchell DeYoung. Welcome back to Victory Lane, mate. It's been a while. It's been almost 12 months since you won your last Rallycross event, but this is win number 6 for the career, first of the season, and we were talking during the week, and you said it last week in post-race interviews. The more time you have in this car, I think the better you'll get.
Yeah, for sure. Feels pretty awesome to be back in the winner's circle again. The race went as smooth as I could have hoped. I knew we were pretty decent pace-wise coming into this, just getting to compare in open sessions and all that. But honestly, it was a lot better than I truly thought. Really unfortunate for Bobby, too, because he had really good pace and could have definitely been here on the podium with me. So unfortunate for that. But I'm just stoked how the race went. No drama, anything like that. Just tried to keep myself from hitting any walls or taking any damage off the jump. So just tried to run my race, and feels good to end where we're at.
I think qualifying on pole and having that grid position for not only the heats, but the feature race too, I think that really helped you, because a lot of the incidents seem to occur around the outside line, so around starting second or third. So for you, just having the inside line seemed to play to your benefit, I thought. Yeah,
absolutely. Like I kind of touched on last week, qualifying's everything. When you can start on pole, it's super helpful just having that inside line. You're still not safe. Of course, you could get a little bump from the rear in the first corner, but fortunately everyone hit all their marks this time, and I was able to get through clean. So with that said, as long as you don't get hit, you're pretty much guaranteed to come out of there in first. So huge help. You can do whatever you want with Joker then, and just kind of do your thing, which is really the key for these really short races with a lot of carnage.
And we're looking at the track on screen. It's quite worn out in feature conditions. Did you suffer in the Subaru, you thought, in feature conditions, or was it actually quite a good car to drive?
Well, we know from last year, it was always quite a struggle to make the car work in these worn out conditions. You really have to drive it a certain way and be extremely precise in comparison to the other two cars. So you can still get through just as well. But you need to really practice it and begin your game not to put a wheel, an inch slightly in the loose stuff. Otherwise, there's a good chance you're going to crash. So it's just a game of hitting your marks, not paying attention to the other guys too much, and really just running a race. So fortunately, everything worked out well.
And finally, I won't. Normally, we keep these interviews short, but we've had so much extra time today. Why not? You've had some talk about possibly missing next week and the week after due to other racing commitments, and that is pretty unfortunate to hear, but I guess that's just the way it's been for you the past few years, unfortunately.
Yeah. This year I wasn't 100% sure if I should run, considering that there's a very, very good chance that I couldn't do the full season. And it seems like I'll be able to meet the minimum requirements as of now to retain my license. So, but
9 races. Yeah,
exactly. But the next 2 rounds are most likely I'm going to have to miss out. We're doing World's Fastest Gamer, lasts for 2 weeks, and I'll be in California for a lot of it, but California is a big state. It's going to be quite a ways from my rig. Let alone I won't be able to really test for it, but I probably won't have anything to drive on to do the race. So, but you never know. We still have some more time. I'm working to figure it out. I'd like to take part of the full season, even if it's just kind of scraping by these next 2. But yeah, we'll see. We'll give it our best.
You miss Sonoma, man. And Lucas Oil we can discuss, but Sonoma's the real fun track. Who gets it done for you in that number 24 VRS Coanda Sim Sport machine?
A quick note on that. If I had to miss 2 tracks, those would be the 2 that I would love to miss.
No, don't say that about Sonoma. It's so fun. Don't say that.
Of course, all of my teammates, not only Bobby, who's also racing in the series and had bad luck today, should have been a lot better, but all my other teammates that helped prepare the track for us and let us test in these conditions. It's a big team effort, so shout out to them. Our spotters and Pash for chilling at the spotter booth with me. my personal sponsor, Red Bull, and all their other partners, Virtual Racing School, N-Word Design, SimQuip, RaceSpot, and VTech.
Thanks, Mitchell. So that is your winner again, his 6th career win of the season, Randy. And like Mitchell said, California is a big state. You're quite familiar with it. What did you say? It takes like 8 hours to go north to south, but only 2 hours east to west?
It's 3 hours east to west, and it's about 12 hours north-south.
Oh, goodness. Wow. That's like driving... If I drove from Melbourne to Brisbane, I reckon that's like a 16-hour drive. Geez, that's like the entire country of Australia, I think. That's how big the US is.
Yeah, well, I mean, Australia is about the same size, and I think maybe even a little bit bigger. But yeah, it's if I were to drive the same duration east-west, I'd end up in Texas. So yeah, it's a big state. So Mitchell hopefully will be able to manage, but if he does, it's going to be a lot of driving for him, and not just on the sims, but on the freeways.
And now you're going to be stood alongside the Frenchman Johan Harth, who drives for the Apex Racing Team Subaru Winter Experience car, and that number 90 Subaru. Over to you, Randy.
Yep, I'm stood by with Johan Hart, and Johan is a decent race for you. You started in the 4th spot, ended up coming home in 2nd. You were kind of in the catbird seat for some of the drama that kicked off on that first lap and the close racing we saw because of it. Tell me about your start. Seemed like you were close to it, but able to just sneak on through.
Yeah, to be honest, when I saw I was starting in it one, I didn't expect to have such a good race in the future, but got through, qualified. Got the possibly best spot besides the pole for a start in the feature, and when I saw that I was P2 out of turn 1, I just drove my race because Mitchell had way too much space. I couldn't keep up with him.
Don't worry, you're not the only one who's found that Mitchell is just too quick, but you come in this year with a new team, you get yourself a nice big 2nd place finish here on the 2nd round, and you had a good run in the first week as well, coming home 5th in the point after that, tied with Bobby Zielinski. Tell me about that, how it is going for this new team, and being able to bring in some good results. I think you're the top running driver at the moment in terms of the point standings from that ART Subaru Winter Experience group.
Compared to last year when I was with Race Clutch, the main difference is the work we put in terms of setup and preparation for the races, because last year I was pretty much alone for the World Championship. Yeah, this year to have really quick guys to practice with, it's a lot of improvement.
Now we're going to move in towards next week. Sonoma is definitely a driver favorite, definitely a fan favorite. The only track on the service we have at the moment that has considerable elevation change, and it's just a fun circuit to run in general. You looking forward to next week? How do you think the ART Subarus will fare?
It's not the best track in terms of racing, but when it comes to doing laps on your own, it's definitely the funniest track we have on the service, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, Johan, congratulations on getting the 2nd step on the podium. The ART Subaru Winter Experience cars still looking very good and very pacey. But before we let you go, who gets it done for everyone involved with that group?
Just thank you to the guys at ART, John, Stellion, and Kevin. And shout out to our sponsors, Logitech G, Splitcaf, SDK Gaming, Computers, Subaru Winter Experience, and shout out to Patrick Sander as well.
So there he was. Johan Hartz finishes 2nd, and finishing in 3rd today, Johnny, he looked pretty much picture perfect last week, and he had to do some recovery and run through the field, and he managed to do so. Sammy Matty Trogan comes home in the 3rd spot, and you're stood by with the 17-year-old.
Yep, the Set Esports driver alongside me. Sammy Matty, we got you this time?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Can we firstly have an opportunity? We'll talk to you about Daytona, but apart from some words for the iRacing website, you didn't really get to speak about your win last time out at Atlanta. I thought it was such a brilliant start to the season for you, and you and the Set Esports team just, you guys seem to nail the conditions and the car setup, and coupled with your talent, ended up with a race victory. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, I think it was almost perfect race for me. I had really good pace there and found good setup, so yeah, I think it was a good race.
And now heading to Daytona, not the best of qualifying performances from you. And every time we head to Daytona short, it's really qualifying that sets you up for the rest of the day. I think you starting down the order, did you set this car up for feature race conditions today, or were you just suffering for pace in general?
Yeah, I think it was my setup wasn't so good for this race. Yeah, I was struggling in qualifying to get a clean lap, and yeah, then was bit of bad luck in the first heat, but yeah.
And talk about the start in the feature race. Were there some collisions, of course, that helped you promote yourself up the order? Because people are forgetting you started that race from 7th and still ended up on the podium. So again, I think you just had to have a bit of luck on your side today, but at the same time, maybe you just put your car in the right positions. How did it go?
Yeah, I think my start was really good in the feature race, and then yeah, of course I was a bit lucky in the first corners with all the collisions, but yeah, in the 2 laps I was quite a good pace, but then after that I was a bit struggling with the tires.
Any real-world rallycross commitments coming up in the next few weeks that we should know about?
Yeah, I have one race in South Africa in 2 weeks.
Oh, lovely. I love South Africa. A lot of history there. Enjoy the trip. You're going to visit Kailami maybe on your way there? Get some F1 sort of history down your back?
Yeah, maybe. I need to bring my simulator there also, because it's same time.
Exactly. We don't want you to miss any future rounds. Oh, and that actually asked me, Mitchell said he's going to miss a few rounds in the next couple of weeks. Are you going to be able to run all 9 rounds this season, do you think?
Yeah, I try.
Try your best. Who'd you like to thank? Who gets it done for you in that set esports machine?
Yeah, I would like to thank my teammates for the work and setups, and then of course thanks to my sponsors.
So Sammy Matty Trogan there, Randy, and he came home in the 3rd position, somehow managed to make his way onto the podium. Now, we're looking at the championship standings at the moment, and this is behind the scenes, and he doesn't have the championship lead coming out of this round. Championship lead goes to Mitchell. He's on 160 points, leads by 7 over Sammy Matty.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just, Mitchell last week, I think he had a heat race where he started 3rd and I think finished around that point, or excuse me, won the heat race, so didn't get the full qualifying points, but this week for Sammy, he just, wasn't quite on the mark compared to what we saw last week. So that's really, I think, the big difference maker here, and of course the fact that Trogan finished 3rd here today, whereas Mitchell last week, when he didn't win, finished in the 2nd spot. But yeah, that's really the big question mark right now. Is it, can that 24 car, does he have enough of a buffer, and will these guys be inconsistent enough for the first couple weeks that maybe somehow, some way, Mitchell can take advantage on running what might end up being just a 7-race schedule for the Californian?
And these 600 horsepower rallycross cars will be back racing again for the next race on the 19th of October. We have no breaks this season, 9 weeks in succession, and it's going to be 1 week until we head to Sonoma, which hosts round 3 of the 2019 Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship. Thanks, of course, to Thrustmaster for their partnership in today's campaign. Visit their website for more information on their associated products. Coverage for round 3 will begin at 5:45 p.m. GMT as usual on RaceBot TV, streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network and on our associated platforms. Visit racebot.tv and iRacing.com for more information on upcoming events. From myself, Jonathan Simon, from Randolph Cheneth alongside me, Paul Smith behind the scenes in production, and our entire RaceBot TV crew behind the scenes. We hope you enjoyed what was this RaceBot TV presentation, broadcasted on our associated platforms. Whether you joined us on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, hope you enjoyed all the action. Our winner today, Mitchell de Jong for the VRS Coanda Simsport team. He's back in the championship lead. An oh so familiar sight. We say so long from the Daytona International Speedway.